Hey, what's happening, everybody? I'm Tommy, and you are on the boat. Heather Rhodes, good to see you. I'm glad that you made it live. Good to have you here. Roberta, what's happening? I'll tell you in a minute. Cindy G, hello. What a beautiful sentiment. I kind of like that. Hello, Tommy and crew. First day off in 7 days. Glad to be here. Love and hugs to all. See, another beautiful sentiment. I love that. Hello, Ann from Massachusetts. What's happening? I hope you are doing well. You ever get the feeling that you've seen this show before? Wes Lightbird, good to see you. I am glad that you are here. Jamie Palmer, what's happening? You know, I did a show about the state of YouTube the other day. Caroline in Canada, it is good to see you. You made a live. Yes, you did. We are glad that you are here. I promise you. Everybody is. Lisa Trimble, there you are. It is official. We can get this thing underway. Auntie KK, it is good to have you here. It is really good to have you here. So I did a show about the state of YouTube the other day, and I talked about some of the in real life streamers, right? Renee B, out of breath. I ran here. Well, you got here on time, and I'll tell you something, Renee B. I am always impressed. And it always feels like the lifeboat when you're here on time. What's happening? It's snowing. A lot of the whole southern part of West Virginia is shut down. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, although it is beautiful, right? Seasonal. It starts looking like Christmas. Good for you. I got to see the moon the other night here, which was absolutely fantastic. Hello, how warm is it in Ecuador? It's about 82 degrees today so far. It'll get a little bit hotter in the afternoon. It's about 82 degrees. There's a nice breeze coming off the ocean. By way of full disclosure, there's always a nice breeze coming off the ocean in Ecuador, in this particular part of the country. The wind is always blowing in. Roberta, good to see you, my friend. I am glad that you are here. I don't blame you. This would be a good time to be jealous. John, what's happening? Welcome to the boat. So I was talking about these people that kind of shift from doing the kind of content that they used to do to doing the kind of content that makes people uncomfortable, right? Cringy stuff. Eden, good to see you. First you caught a live in ages. Well, I'm glad that you're here. Kathy Clarinet, what's happening? Welcome to the boat. And I talked about how people will shift their content and they'll start doing stuff that makes you uncomfortable, right? Because if you're feeling kind of cringy, if you're watching something that you feel like it is cold as you know what in Ohio, I'm watching palm trees sway in the breeze with the ocean right there. It's actually a hell of a day. I got the window open. I have the blinds open so I can see the ocean. I don't have the window open. It would be loud. But this is what happens, right? You start doing content outside of what you normally do. You make people really uncomfortable and people don't look away, right? And there are certain individuals who have found out that going to jail can be profitable as hell, right? Getting incarcerated and then getting back out and making videos about it, this becomes a business model for some individuals. And I highlighted some of these people the last time that we talked. One of the guys that I highlighted is a dude by the name of Vitaly. Vitaly had 10 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm going to say that again, just in case you missed it. 10 million subscribers on YouTube. And he did a bunch of videos where he literally said, I'm going to go out and try to get arrested because if I can get locked up, when I get back out, I make unbelievable money. All I got to do is get arrested. And he kind of wore out his welcome getting arrested and doing things in the United States. And he started going to other countries. It is nuts, Cindy G, but this is a business model for a lot of people, right? Johnny Somali is another one that did this. And there are many, many others. But today, hello, Style and Hair. We are highlighting Vitaly because I'm giving you an update on this guy. This is the guy that went to the Philippines and was literally so obnoxious that I couldn't even get through the entire stream, right? This is a guy that just goes out of his way to make everybody uncomfortable. He'll walk up behind the woman walking on the street who doesn't speak his language, who he's 2 feet taller than, and go, rah, and scare the crap out of her because to him, this is creating content. He curses wildly in the faces of everybody. He makes jokes that are, well, you can't call them jokes because they're not freaking funny. But he says things that are wildly racially insensitive. He goes to other countries and trashes people's culture. And I am an immigrant. right? I live in Ecuador. Filled out all of the papers. I'm hoping that in the next 6 weeks I will be officially getting my permanent visa here. And it is you respect the culture. You come and you become part of it. You try to assimilate into it. I'm learning the language. I love this place. I can't imagine doing that kind of content to get paid. I can't imagine going out of my way to make people uncomfortable. Some countries don't play. I hope they're throwing the book at them. Well, here's the deal. The yay for the visa. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing with visas. Vitaly is Russian by birth. So he was holding a green card, right, which is a permanent visa in the United States of America, which allowed him to, he was on his way to holding dual citizenship, right? Because once you start that process, there are some rules that are really easy to follow. Once you get your permanent visa, it's almost impossible to screw it up without catching a felony or doing something stupid, right? So all he had to do was ensure that he spent enough time in the United States. I'll give you a perfect example. With the visa that we applied for, there's a bunch of different kind of visas that you can get. You can get a pensioner's visa for people who are retiring. You can get a digital nomad visa. This is very, very popular for people that make money on YouTube. And you can get what is called an investment visa, where you buy a home. Or you don't have to buy a home. You could also just invest enough money to buy a home in a bank. You deposit it for a 2-year deposit in the bank. That will get it done as well. We bought property here, so we had an investment visa, and you apply for that. Once you are approved, the only way you can screw that up is to spend too much time outside of Ecuador. Over the course of the next 2 years, you can't spend 6 months gone over 2 years. So you could fly back to the United States, hang out for 20 days, see your family, do whatever you're going to do Christmas, do New Year's, whatever, and then get back here, and that clock's running. You just spent 30 days outside the country, right? So that goes towards that 180 days, which is half of a year. Well, Vitaly has been locked up in a jail in the Philippines for 8 months. He has lost, I would say, half of his body size. There's a video of him getting baptized. Now, whether or not that's legitimate, they need this for the USA. They do. Well, the USA has it. The USA has it. So Vitaly is in the jail, and it's more really like a prison, but he's in an immigration hold in the Philippines. Now, the Philippines were perfectly content to give this guy bail and deport him. So that's how this process started. And they reached out to the people in Russia who went, nope, we don't want him. So they then, woo, good to see you. So they then reached out to the United States of America and said, we would like to deport him back to his other country. And the United States of America said, not going to happen. We don't want Vitaly either. So even though this guy could have gotten out on bail and got deported, there's nowhere to deport him to. And his mother, who took care of his finances, and the guy made a stink load of money. I'm talking about duffel bags full of hundreds, right? You got 10 million subs and you do the kind of content that this guy does. He made a stink load of money. Unfortunately, his mom has blown most of it trying to buy him a new place to live. Vitaly. He ain't coming back. Boom, boom, boom. They're not going to let him back. That 8 months basically now is getting to the point where his green card is going to disappear anyway. So even if the United States didn't want him to be deported there, he's not going to be able to go back to it. He's a man without a home. Yeah. And this is official. What's that? Yeah, new news. And this is official. He's stuck. He's literally dropped about half of his body weight. I hope that his finding God is legit. It did happen to coincide with him trying to get out and trying to buy citizenship in other countries. And make no mistake, there are countries you can buy citizenship in. And I don't mean like we're doing in Ecuador where you come and buy property or buy a house or you buy a condo or whatever. I'm talking about places that go, give us $120,000 and we'll give you a passport. Those countries exist all over the planet. But if you're an asshole, that becomes a whole lot harder to do. And this man has asshole to a science, right? So the days of going to jail and hopping out to get 500,000 views, this is a business model that's fading because all of the people that were doing it are falling flat on their face. But Vitaly is not who I was going to talk about. Tangent. My mom lived in Florida for more months and 1 day, at least because there are no state taxes. Oh, I gotcha. There are also countries where you can do what's called border hopping, right? So There are places, the Philippines is one of them. They don't allow dual citizenship. So you can go there and stay 90 days or whatever it is, but you can drive across the border, get your passport stamped, come back the next day. And so people buy houses and they just do what's called border jumping, and they can do it for the rest of eternity. They're just never going to become a citizen of that country. That didn't appeal to me much. I wanted to be able to be a citizen of wherever I decided to be an expat. So this is a business model that doesn't work, but that's not what this shit show is about. As I said, does this feel familiar was the thumbnail, right? Feel like you've seen this show before? What we're going to be talking about 6 months. What we're going to be talking about today is a show that I've already seen once, and most of you have, because we're all part of this same community here on the big red button. The documentary that has been made by 50 Cent about Sean Diddy Combs has now caused yet another wild feeding frenzy. And we're right back to where we were. Start going and looking at the channels that put up Diddy content and start reading the thumbnails. I'm not watching this garbage. I'm not doing that anymore. But I looked at some of the thumbnails. One says that Diddy had to be removed from Fort Dix because of he had a mental breakdown basically because of this documentary. I assure you, he's still in Fort Dix. If you did have a mental breakdown in the Bureau of Prisons, you're going to spend 30 days in the prison that you're at, minimum, for observation before they send you to someplace, which more than likely they would send him to Louisville, Kentucky. That's one of the places that they send when someone legitimately has a meltdown, and it does happen. There are people that go cuckoo, right? In the state of California, they used to call this Category J. J-Cats is the nickname. This is when someone can't do time. Very often they stop showering. Their eating habits are really messed up, and not trying to bum anybody out. But they start doing arts and crafts with things that you should not do arts and crafts with. Put a 3 in the chat if you understand what I'm saying. If not, I will explain it. Dookie! They start making chess pieces out of their own feces. They start trying to paint the Mona Lisa on the wall with a mixture of ketchup and mustard and poop. Yeah, I'm not kidding. This is something that happens often. Now, there are people that will fake this. Man, you really got to want to get out of the joint you're in to start playing with your own poop. Is it me?
No, it's not.
It's not me, says Johnny Scoville. That's just nasty, right? But people are saying the guy's gone J-Cat. If he had, he's not leaving there for 30 days. You got to go into an observation cell, which is very much like a suicide cell, only a little bit different. There is a camera in it. They're going to watch you 24 hours a day. And everybody in the feds knows how to play what they call the crazy card or the nut card. And in order to do it, what you really want to do is not talk to anybody that comes and talks to you. If you go non-communicative, right, for 30 days, they have to ship you because you're not communicating what's wrong with you, and they start getting really dicey, right? One of the other things that you can do is go on a hunger strike. Now they're gonna make you eat. I promise you they are. Ew, says Rue, and yeah, it's disgusting, right? But here's the deal: if you think someone's gonna kill you, I mean, it's not the route that most convicts would take, but it is a route. It will get you out of there. So will punching somebody in the head, right? They're going to transfer you off of that yard if you get into a fist fight. Diddy is such a baby. The man beat a life sentence. I would be one happy man to serve those couple of years. You know what? That may be the comment of the day so far, right? Shut the F up and do your time. I'm sorry. You're softer than hospital cotton. Did you catch that one?
Yeah.
Medicated cotton. It's like a bunny's butt. Right? This dude is soft. And this dude has a control freak streak down the middle of him that he believes he should be able to work with people from inside there to make sure that his message is getting out. Now, in the documentary, and we talked about this, he's malingering, I bet, says Rue. Great word. Yeah, he's faking. But from everything I no. There's also a story that his lawyer is really pissed off. Lacey, good to see you. Diddy is an entitled man-child. You know what? That's a hell of a comment, too. There's also a story going around right now that his lawyer is super pissed off at him. And I find this one of the funniest stories ever. Because the reason that his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, is so angry is because Mark Agnifilo got filmed without his consent, right? So let me get this straight. You don't want to be on film without somebody saying, hey, you're going to be put on film. Isn't this what Diddy's been accused of by a crap load of people? That's ironic, man. That's irony slapping you right in your suck hole, is it not? It really is. So none of these stories are real. Now, I'm sure Agnifalo's pissed off, right? But the story, hey, Joanne, Adams, I am glad that you are here. Hey now, bad habits, they can be broken. Joanne, I'm glad you're here. I really am. So, but here's the deal. This is the shit show, people. It's starting again. And they're talking about, one of the other ones I saw said satanic rituals that Diddy did with Biggie's whatever. He was doing satanic rituals after Biggie died. This is going to get rolling. Yes, it was in the documentary. Absolutely, that was in the documentary. And they're complaining that it's illegal. And you know why it's illegal? Because it's a one-party state. I mean, a two-party state, rather, right? It isn't a two-party state. People are reporting this all over the place. It is not a two-party state. By the way, it wouldn't matter if it was, right? Diddy had a film crew following him. Do you know why? If you watch the clips of this, he's standing by the window. He's posing like a big dog because Diddy flew out to New York. He had a freak off ready to go that night. Had some Tusi with him. Johnny Scoville. He did. That's that pink cocaine.
You heard bad stuff about it.
It's not cocaine. It's methamphetamine. It's ketamine. It's all kinds of. It won't even be the same recipe 3 times in a row, right? But it's a drug that is methyl based. It's a meth based drug. Keep you up for a long time. It's more in line with ecstasy, and I don't mean it is ecstasy. I just mean it's a party drug. People do this in clubs because the lights get cool and you get kind of sensory overload. Meth will do that. MDMA is methyl, right? Dioxy. It starts as crystal meth, and then they add stuff to it. Winchester Super X, good to see you. But the number of thumbnails, this feels like when I was doing all that Diddy content, and people were saying just the most ridiculous crap in the entire world, right? When Diddy flew out to New York, Mark Agnifalo, his attorney, had him convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that cat wasn't going to do any time in jail. He was going to go in there, and the judge was just going to go, here's your bail, head on out, and Diddy was going to get to fight this. So he was making a documentary about how he was going to beat this thing. Arrogant. I mean, you talk about hubris, and watch the clips. He's yelling at his attorney. He's acting like, the big man on Mulberry Street. This dude, he wasn't just a music mogul, right? He was a gangster. Right? He wanted to be like his old man, the Rat, right? But he wanted to be like his dad. He wanted to be a gangster. And if you watch this clip, he's yelling at his attorney, and he's literally saying something that you probably don't want to judge hearing. He's saying, you need to go out and find some people that are used to doing this kind of stuff. You got to go find people that are used to doing dirt. I'm sorry, what? What the hell does that even mean? Sounds like bribery, right? Sounds like threatening people. Go to court, fight your case. That's not what he was doing. It's not what he was yelling about. He said, we're losing. Well, they hadn't even gone in there yet, right? So this was that manipulative prick trying to get the country to believe that Diddy was a good dude. I started deep diving Diddy again. The documentary is a timeless piece of art. I love 50 Cent and his little smirk at that ABC interview. Now here's something that by way of full disclosure, man, right? He was a jerk to everyone all the time, says Laura Lou, and you're right. But here's the thing by way of full disclosure. 50 put his name on this. By all accounts, that's about all he did. And I'm not bad-mouthing the guy, right? This is pretty common in Hollywood. You get a producer credit, right? He wanted this thing made. He probably put up some of his own cash, but he didn't make this documentary. A woman did. She did a hell of a job on it too. But Gene Deal, everybody remember Gene Deal? Put a 3 in the chat if you remember me talking about Gene Deal, because I talked about him a lot. This cat was Diddy's bodyguard for a long period of time. In fact, he was bodyguarding for him on the incident where the people got killed at City College. Remember, there was going to be an AIDS benefit, and they had all these famous people that were going to be there. He was working with him from then all the way through the Biggie and Tupac killing. He's been around for most of this. He was suspiciously absent from the 50 Cent documentary, right? He wasn't in it, which is bizarre, right? Kirk Burroughs was in it. There were all of these people that had really close access to Diddy. But who had closer access to Diddy than that fool? And his stories, I've said this from Jump Street. I believe Gene Deal. I've never heard Gene Deal say something that I thought he made this up. And I want to tell you something. I've been on a lot of panels with Diddy people that I knew were making the shit up as they were talking. Just for grins, put a 4 in the chat if you might think you know who I'm talking about. So, hey, don't do that. Don't do that. We don't talk about content creators that I know. I don't mind talking about content creators I don't know, right? Because I'm not going after people that I know. Oh, speaking of which, if you thought that this show right now is going to be about Aaron Smith-Levin, it's not going to be. I take no joy in the fact that he and his girl are having a really bad time and that their world is blowing up. I take no joy in that at all. I really don't. I don't talk about people's, on the way down. I don't. He did a 3-hour hit job on me, but that's who that cat is. It's not who I am. And I wish both of them the best. I hope that they're able to not do this in public. It's a shit show and no one's ever happy about it later. Take my word on this one, Johnny Scoville. Maybe fight your battles not in public. It doesn't work out. Take my word for this. Know what I'm talking about. Know what I'm talking about. I'm rooting for both of them. But Gene Deal just went on the Art of Dialogue. Now, I like Gene Deal. I believe Gene Deal, but Gene Deal is making a lot of money on the Diddy situation, right? If Gene Deal is on someone's show, he got a big check to go on somebody's show. He doesn't just go on and do interviews. People pay him to go on and do interviews, and he's getting rich doing it. And I'm not pissed at the guy, right? I'm not mad at him. I want this guy to make a living. But he has been very vocal about the 50 Cent documentary. And apparently he spent a lot of time talking to Curtis 50 Cent. And he had the belief that he was putting a deal together for him and for Kirk Burroughs and for one other gentleman, maybe even 2 other gentlemen. As a package deal, they were all going to come in and they were going to film in this documentary. And 50 led him to believe that absolutely was going to happen. Then when Gene started talking to the director kind of, according to Gene Deal, kind of shit on him and was like, you're asking for way too much money, man. People don't get paid this. So Gene Deal started showing receipts. This is what I've been paid on to go on this show. This is what I've been paid to go on this show. This is what I got paid to go on this documentary. So he wanted $50K. That's what he wanted. Now, once again, I like Gene Deal. I'm not bad-mouthing Gene Deal. But when stories like this become that profitable for people like Gene Deal, who I don't think BS's at all, but how many other people will BS for $50,000? Don't do that to me. If you're talking to a director, you might want to make it look like the information you got might just be a little bit better. But I'm here to tell you, nobody's information would have been better than Gene Deal's. I found it a little disappointing he was not in that documentary, honestly. I don't think the guy's done an interview that I haven't seen. And I've watched a lot of the stuff that he's done on his own channel. And he just, in the interview that he just did on the Art of Dialogue, he talked about Misa Hilton. If you do not know who that is, then you're not probably following the Diddyverse. But that is one of Diddy's baby's mama, Johnny Scoville. They have a child together. Allegedly, they have a child together, because the rumors are that maybe it wasn't, maybe it really wasn't Diddy's kid, and it might have been a bodyguard that ended up dead after an altercation. Who knows, right? Who knows? But Gene Deal outed her on the Art of the Dialogue. Said some rugged stuff about her. Said something about making money out of both sides of her panties. Catch that, Johnny Scoville? Making money out of both sides of her panties. Who comes up with that? I'm sorry. What a turn of phrase, huh? Apparently what that meant is it wasn't just Diddy, right? And if you remember, because I did a lot of content on Diddy, I'm not sure if you know that, but there was a time where there was a picture of Suge Knight with Misa Hilton and with Diddy's baby, and Suge was playing with the kid. Now, I'm sure that this was done just to piss Diddy off or whatever, but that made the rounds, right? Anthony Wolf Jones might have been the father. I don't know. That gets a whole lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
Amphitheater hacking.
Amphitheater hacking. It gets a whole lot of traction. There's a lot of people that talk about it. But doesn't it hurt credibility to get paid for a documentary? Laura Lou, it might, right? Now you have a vested interest in saying something. You know what the documentary is about. You know that the documentary is trying to smut this dude up. And I'm not bad-mouthing Kirk Burroughs. His story hasn't changed. And Lost again, good to see you. And he has receipts, right? This is a guy who journals more than I do. And he had a lot of stuff written down, and there were messages and all of this stuff. That's the kind of stuff that's worth paying somebody for. Gene Deal's got tons of receipts. right? Gene Deal is a guy that can back up a lot of these stories. And you're not going to see too many pictures of Diddy back in the day where you didn't see Big Gene, right? Somewhere there. He bodyguarded for Misa Hilton, and he did it at a ridiculously cut rate. Not because she was going to get jumped if she went out in public. She was afraid of Diddy. That's no joke. So there's a lot coming out. But people that like clicks, look, I got 62 people in the chat. If my thumbnail said Diddy's about to go back to court, I'd have 200 people in my chat. But those days are over. You're going to hear a lot of people telling you that Diddy's about to go back to court, that this is blowing everything wide open. Anything from killing Biggie to killing Tupac. There is a case in California, right, with a producer. I mean, a music producer who is suing him, and they are investigating that case. That is an open investigation. That's a fact. We can talk about that. Everything else you're hearing, there's no truth to it, at least not yet. Now, we can speculate, and I can call him a scumbag. God, it pays well. Pays well, Johnny Scoville. It pays well. And the more clicks you get, the more money you make. And righteous indignation is a hell of a name brand. And I didn't put it on for you people. I'm telling you the gospel truth. I wanted Diddy in prison forever, and I was believing everything that people said. There are 100+ cases still open on this cat. Do I think there's a damn good chance that he's going to get brought back into court? I'd be absolutely stunned, shocked if he doesn't end up with another case, if not multiple cases. Agreed, says Johnny Scoville. However, it hasn't happened. So to come out and tell that story as if it has, to put up a thumbnail as if it's already happened, is disingenuous like a big dog, right? To say multiple cases. No, there aren't. And this is, we live in a day and age where it's getting really easy to research this stuff. I'm not bagging on other content creators. The only one I've talked about is Gene Deal, and I think he got rooked in this documentary. And of all of the people that I watched talk about Sean Combs, he's got more credibility than anyone else. And I would like you to do me a favor. Think about the people in the Diddyverse that were stone cold famous when this was going on. I'll throw out a couple of names because I didn't work with any of them, right? Cat Williams, stone cold famous, right? He got famous because of the interview that he did. And if you guys remember, he said, this is the year, right? Everybody's going to, I don't care if you're Diddy, I don't care who you are, everybody's going to get found out in this year. And it looked really prophetic, right? Because then all of these things started to happen, and people in his circle all started getting smutted up really bad, and there were cases flying all over the place. And he looked like Nostradamus. I never did any shows with him, so I can bring him up. I don't think Cat Williams is unreliable, but I think he was kind of making some comments off the cuff. And if you happen to predict something that just, TD Jakes had a bad year, everybody that he kind of said, I don't care who you are, this is going to be your year. When that started to happen, it made people think this dude knows everything that's going on. And again, I'm not bad-mouthing. But there were a lot of other people in the Diddyverse whose names you could think of. Unfortunately, I've been on panels with a lot of them, and I know these people. And I'm never going to smut up any of them. But they weren't in that documentary, right? These people that knew more about Diddy than anybody. They were there when all this stuff went down. They had stories. They could tell you about kids getting sacrificed. They could tell you about all that garbage, right?
How about the Starbucks?
Yeah, or the Starbucks that was in the tunnel. I'm not saying any of these people's names. I'm not trying to pick fights with people. And you know what? If you make content about other people, you lack talent. I'm sorry. You do. If your goal is to just crap on other content creators to see if you can get their audience to look at you, you're a hack. Lowbrow. You're a hack. And I'm not going to do that. Never going to do that. And they can keep making videos about me. I'm not going to make videos about them. You know what that kind of content does to you, Johnny Scoville? Ruins your heart and your soul. It really does. And I'm not going to be making any of that kind of stuff. That's just dirty. You're not going to hear me say those people's names. And if I was on a panel with one of these people, you're not going to hear me say their names. But Rue knows who I'm talking about. Why were none of these people in that documentary? If you critical think this, there's only two reasons why. Number one, they wanted way too much money, right? They didn't want to pay Gene Deal $50,000, which I find shocking because this documentary is going to make some cash. I was shocked, Cotton. This is going to make some cash. I think $50,000 would have been a damn good investment to get Gene Deal on. I really do. Look, I'm not at all pissed off. Cat Williams just knows which names to drop to get the attention, but he's telling the truth. I agree with you. And you know something? You're not going out on a limb. If you go back and look at the very first content I did on Diddy, I came out and said, you know why I'm talking about this cat? Because his world's about to explode. I'm not Nostradamus, but you can look at this person and go, this is a really unusual thing, right? This is really an unusual thing. But when I started deep diving Diddy, I found some unusual stuff. He got caught with a pistol, right? And he wasn't supposed to have it. It was an illegal gun, all that. That got dropped.
He dished it off to something.
No, different night. Different night. This guy has had so many charges against him and nothing stuck. And I thought to myself, this is not a Gene Deals, but he's lying about some things. I hate to say that, though, but it may be true. I've never been able to prove that anything that Gene Deals said wasn't true. And I can prove that a crap load of things that other people said were just simply made up wholesale, right? For real. In fact, I sat on panels with people and they told the story. And then I went on someone else's show and they came on the panel and told the story different. And I don't mean, it was a Tuesday or it was a Wednesday. I mean different, because each time you got to keep upping the bar, right? You got to keep doing stuff that that makes you bigger and greater. Because if you just came on and went, yeah, you know what, the dude's, this is a guy that raped a couple of people. Well, no shit, everybody in North America is saying that. So now you kind of got to up it, right? And stars were made. There were people that started YouTube channels, had 75, 100,000 subs like that, because the stories had us captivated. We believed everything that everyone was saying. And it's part of the culture, right? You want to believe victims. And some of these people said they were victims. Yeah. Yeah, there's something to this, right? Now, Manson's prison career was stock normal until it wasn't, right? When he got out the last time and he got out in California, he started to go to a clinic in Haight-Ashbury that was run by the Central Intelligence Agency. I'm sorry, that's just kind of how it went down. They were running something called Operation Chaos. They wanted to disrupt the hippie movement, right? They wanted, because, hey, good to have you back, John. Because that counterculture movement was protesting Vietnam. They were burning libraries at universities. All of this stuff was happening, and they thought, I like Gene Deal, and I think he's been telling the truth this whole time. But at the same time, when we were in those lifestyles, we do things sometimes that we don't want. Oh, you know what? Oh, look, I'd say this with Gene in the room. I would say this with Gene in the room. If you're going to bodyguard for a guy like Diddy, you saw a bunch of stuff that you don't want to say because you probably should have stopped it. I'm not busting on Gene Deal. I'm not. But he says, I saw all of this garbage. So you saw him hit women. You saw him hit his mom, right? There are a lot of things that allegedly this dude saw. I see you hit your mom, I'm punching you in your face. I don't care if you're 7'8", built like Shaquille O'Neal. We're gonna give it a try, right? Because I'd rather get my ass kicked than watch you kick your mom's. Now, not saying Gene saw it, but boy, a lot of people say that he saw a lot of things. I can't back any of that up. But I got to believe that if you were working for Diddy, from the basketball, tragedy all the way up past Tupac, there was a lot of ugly stuff going on, right? A lot of ugly stuff going on. His previous types of crimes were consistent until California. Damn right, right? He wasn't a guy that did anything. Yeah, regarding Manson, I knew where you were going with that. He wasn't the kind of guy that did anything violent. He was a petty thief, Manson. But it got kind of crazy that the last time around, it didn't matter what he did. If he farted prior to that, his parole officer threw him back in prison because he's a career criminal. He's a guy that is going to screw up, right? So he gets caught, he drinks too many beers. He does anything. He shows up and fails a piss test. He's going back to prison. He got caught dealing drugs with a pistol. With a pistol, Johnny Skildo. That's felon in possession of a firearm. Right? That's 5 years right off the top. And an enhancement of at least 1 to 2 years for catching a new crime while you're on paper. Then you're going to get the 5. And with his career, it could have been a 10. Right? It's what we call in the business having priors, Johnny Skildo. He had priors for damn near everything. This man had a ugly criminal history that started at 9. You know what? Started at 9. Stole a bike. That was the first thing he did. 9 years old. By the way, I did a show on this. If you go pull his records, and you can do this, you can pull the records of when that guy was in the federal prison system. And every time you fill out papers in the federal prison system, they ask you a series of questions. And one of them is, what religion do you associate with? You don't have to answer it. You can say, I'm not, none of your friggin' business. But most people don't, because there are certain things that are very convenient. For instance, let's say you're one of the white boys and you decide that you are an Odinist, right? They call it a Satru, the religion. This is, you're worshiping Odin and Thor and all those guys, a Nordic religion, right? If you claim that, then once a year you get this wild ass party that you throw outside where they bring in like a half of a side of beef. And it's really kind of they call it the festival. And there are guys that will change their religion. Guy might be a Christian, he might be whatever, but he will change his religion right around that time, about that time, so that they can go to that big festival. I never did that. Trapdoor did a good show about all of the Diddy. You know what? There's a lot of people that are doing a lot of stuff on Diddy. And I'm going to keep reporting on Diddy. And I'm going to keep bringing you stuff that are facts, right? There are still people that are arguing about the booze. It happened. If it didn't, his good time credits wouldn't have disappeared. These are facts. He can say all he wants about feeding 1,000 meals in a prison. Do you realize that's almost everybody there? Like, no joke.
After being only how many days?
Yeah, no, you just got there too, Johnny Scoble. If you were going to do that, you would have to be buying stuff at store for 4 or 5 months. There are limits to how much you can buy. And I have people come in my chat and say, my brother is in prison with him, and he said that happened. Here's the crazy thing. What do you think the odds are? Just going out on a limb, Johnny Scoble. What do you think the odds are that somebody watching my show has a brother at Fort Dix that is actually in there with Diddy and saw him feed those people? Because that's a bit of a stretch. How about 3 people that had a brother inside? Because I got 3 of those comments. For real.
That's like 90,000 people went to Woodstock, where there were 400 babies.
Correct. Or there were 100 and something Navy SEALs in Vietnam, and what's his name has met 5,000 of them. Shipley's met 5,000 of them. When he started getting in and out, and then he even went to Mexico. He did. But on his forms in prison, he put down for his religion, Scientology.
Imagine that.
Johnny Scoble, the Scientologist. They even had the name of his auditor, person that was working with him. When he got out, you know what he did? He went to the org in LA. First, he went to the one in San Francisco, and he walked in and went, hey, I'm clear. What do I do next?
Manson.
Yeah, Manson. I woof you not. And watch some of Manson's interviews, because it's really easy to write that guy off as just an idiot, right? It's easy to write that guy off as just an idiot. But if you listen to the things that he says, he talks about engrams. Now, if you have followed anything in Scientology, this is a theory that we first heard about in Dianetics from Lafayette, Ron Hubbard. Tough grill, bro. Bad breath, apparently.
You can smell through videos.
Yeah, you can smell it through videos.
Rough.
That's probably llama poop that he... He probably wore a hammer around his neck. They usually do. F you, Scientology. You know what? It's a hell of a comment. Let's put that up there. But these things are easily researchable, right? These things aren't hard to research. It's also not difficult to research things like the Bureau of Prisons will not even tell you how someone died. You hear that? There are people that I watched get stomped to death. And when I got out, I went to look up the incident. And you know what it says? They are no longer in custody as of July the 10th, or whatever the day was that they died. And it will say, not released, deceased. Well, how the hell did that happen? They don't give out information. So when TMZ comes on and says, well, nobody at the prison would verify that the guy's had a drinking shot. Yeah, no shit. Let me help you for the rest of this man's sentence. They're not going to verify anything. Here's what I'll verify. You can go online. It will take you about 6 minutes, and you can get the handbook that every single inmate gets. And if you believe that those handbooks are followed differently everywhere, that much. Doesn't mean you're not going to get the write-up. It means that if you're at a United States penitentiary and you get caught drinking, they're not going to ship you off the yard because you're already at the top of the food chain. Where the hell are they going to send you? So they put you in the hole. It's like a drunk tank. They bring you out 2 days later. They take away some good time. But I watch guys go in and out of that stuff, getting drunk constantly. Okay? Still a rule. If you break it, you're still losing good time credits. But those rules are followed. This is not a difficult thing to do. Where can you find those Manson papers at? The best place to start, honestly, is to start with any of the AI models. And then they will give you the information. Don't trust AI. And just say to AI, where can I go independently verify that? And it will tell you, this is how you use AI for research. Let AI chase down the article that says something, then go find the article. But you will find photos of Manson's handwriting and the whole shooting match where he wrote Scientology. You will see the name of the guy that he put out as his spiritual advisor, his auditor. He had apparently, I read it, 110 hours or something like that of auditing.
Will that get you cleared?
Well, look, I got a degree in prison. Let me tell you something. Prison's a little different. 100 hours of auditing might get you clear in the joint. Did Diddy's lawyer on the tape get in trouble when he told Diddy that he could sue an accuser? No, he did not. And here's the thing. You often can sue an accuser. Look, Diddy's lawyer, in theory, has to believe his client. So if his client says, she's full of crap, she's just doing this for a money grab, then your attorney going, well, then let's sue her, isn't a stretch, right? However, he's not happy because he looks like a screaming jackwagon for what is recorded on there. And it's so funny, right? Recorded without my consent. You just represented the anti-consent king of America. So, but a lot of this stuff is BS. Okay, so back to Manson real quick. If you watch some of the interviews, yeah, you got to read between the lines because he's doing this one, right? He's talking about, being the lizard king and all this crap. But he says, a baby is born and mom plays, come on, baby, light my fire as the child's being born. And he grows up to be an arsonist. That's the kind of shit that LRH said about engrams. That's why there are silent births. Because God forbid somebody says something or plays a little, Doors music, you're going to turn that kid into an arsonist because that engram is going to be in that kid's brain for the rest of eternity. Unless, of course, he pays for that bridge to total freedom. If you listen to Manson and you go into it going, this guy wrote down on a piece of paper that he was a Scientologist. Go in there and start watching that. Nope, there is so much information out there that is available to every single person in the world. If some of us Americans would just take the time, you're absolutely right. Yeah, he studied in prison. He studied in prison. That's where he did it. That's why he put down on there. And you know what? Look, when Charles Manson got out, he wasn't nearly as effed up as people think he was. Jen, good to see you. When he got out, he was just another guy doing paper.
A bottle of acid.
But a lot of LSD, and I don't mean tripping, because whenever I say this, people go, I tripped, it didn't turn me into weirdo. You did 75 micrograms, right? Mics, they call it. You might have even done 125 if it was gangster. What you got there is a little orange sunshine, right? What you got there is a little four-way window pane. But if you got acid with a lot of punch in it, right, that lysergic might have over 100 micrograms. The Central Intelligence Agency was giving people grams, right? Grams.
All the stuff I did.
Right. You take all the, and I spent a lot of time going to Grateful Dead concerts with Johnny Scoville. We didn't do grams of acid in our entire life. And there was one summer back there with musical notes that got out of control.
Right.
Yeah. But they were giving these people grams. By the way, this is not tinfoil hat stuff. This is absolutely verifiable. You know why? Because we paid off the people we did it to. Right? There's 132 or 142, can't remember right now, verified victims that we were doing for MK Ultra. I'm not kidding you. You could fill psych wards with those patients. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. If you went into psych wards to do this to people, that's sick shit. But how about a woman going into a hospital pregnant and then doing it to her? What the hell is wrong with us? For real, what's wrong with us? You know what started the whole MK Ultra? You know what started the whole MK Ultra thing, Johnny Scoville? No. Things that the North Koreans were doing during the Korean War. Soldiers that had been messed with really heavily as prisoners of war. Our soldiers come back having been tortured and people trying to turn them into whatever. And we go, hey, this acid would be a great idea. Let's throw that into the mix and see if we can't create those people. What the hell is wrong with us? For real.
Soul rot.
Soul rot. It's the same concepts, right? That says, hey, we can blow off 2,000 underage girls and let people molest them. Hey, right? If it's for the better good, if it's going to be something that either stops wars or starts wars or whatever BS we're trying to say is the greater good.
Every knee shall bow.
That's right. It's ironic that LSD started as a psych treatment. So did MDMA, right? A lot of drugs start out with the best of intentions. And I'll be really honest with you. I don't know if you've done a whole lot of dissociative drugs. And I mean like acid, drugs that people usually say you're tripping on. So acid is one, mushrooms are one, you know, those psilocybin, cubensis, these things where all of a sudden you take this drug and it's not like smoking a joint or snorting a blow or doing heroin, where you're very much Renee B, right? You're not literally like bending outside to the point where you're not quite sure what's real and what's not. But those substances destroy ego for about 8 to 10 hours at a whack. Yeah. I had a friend that way back in the day used to say, you know, you twist up $100 bill and you snort some coke through it, and all of a sudden you start thinking you're cool. Even if you're an asshole, you start thinking you're cool. Right. Yeah. You start thinking you're cool. You start thinking that you've got your life together. I had one do that actually. But eat a hit of acid, and if you're an asshole, you're going to be aware of the fact that you're an asshole in about an hour. Yeah. Window pane. Wow. It's been a long time. Yeah, right. It's been a long time since I said that word out loud. But oh, he is. I want to tell you something. I did a show on this. If you didn't see the show I did on Sirhan, you want to talk about the worst conspiracy theory in the history of the United States? There's no theory to this. There's no theory to this. Robert Kennedy got shot in the back by a man standing 4 feet in front of him. Right? What 72 witnesses? Everybody there went, yeah, no, he was standing in front of him. Then how did the kill shot get him back here? Right? That doesn't make any sense. Wasn't Ted Kaczynski in a weird experiment during his years at Harvard? Wouldn't surprise me, right? It would not surprise me at all. And here's the thing. Everything has a conspiracy theory attached to it. And I don't want to buy into all of them. Let's say even the Scovilles. And I don't want to buy into all of the conspiracy theories because I've been dead center in the middle of them and know that some of them are just bullshit. But the one for Robert Kennedy, we should be ashamed of ourselves that this thing went. The guy that did the autopsy went, I got a good idea. Let's get the people that do the autopsies for the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. Right? He brought 9 people in to watch the autopsy because the JFK autopsy, all of those people started going, wait a second, that autopsy was bullshit. So this dude was smart enough to go, bring them all in. Bring in everybody. You, the paper boy. You girl on the bike. Good Blues Brothers reference. You, girl on the bike. Renee B says that's been verified about the Unabomber. I'm going to have to go through that. But this is absolutely insane how dead to rights. So the guy was carrying a revolver. It was a 22 revolver, right? Held 8 shots, I believe. But they have a recording of this, and there's way more than 8 shots, right? Ken Kesey was being experimented on, MK Ultra, and it's where he got the idea to write One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You know, he also did the electric Kool-Aid acid test, right? We brought everybody out to his house. They had a house band for that one, Johnny Scoville.
Sure did.
It was the Grateful Dead. That was they kind of got famous playing at the electric Kool-Aid acid test, and then it just never stopped. The party continued, and Jerry and the boys just kept going from one place to another for the party. They were the house band for everybody tripping. Look, this all happened yesterday. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday. Wasn't it yesterday? 7th of December, a day that will live in infamy. Go do a little research on this. Take about 8 minutes. We knew it was coming. If that doesn't make you sick, put a 2 in the chat if that makes you sick. We knew they were coming to Pearl Harbor. They knew that they were going to bomb our ships, and we let our boys go to sleep in those ships. Guys that said, I'm here to take the vow to defend the Constitution of the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and the people sitting in the White House, right? That are you're going to die for. Went, screw it. What are we going to lose? 3,000, 5,000, something like that. We need to enter this war. Greater good, right? Greater good shit. It's disgusting, man.
Shady.
Nikki Thomas, I think that that Trump's next move with off the coast of Venezuela, they want him gone, and this is the way. But this is absolutely a fact, right? We're at war. Take all of the deaths of all of the wars that we have fought in the United States, and it doesn't equal the number of people that have overdosed on dope. We're under attack, right? From 18 to 50, you have a better chance of dying from a drug overdose than a car wreck or cancer. It has been the number one cause of death in our country. We're under attack. If it is ricin that they were sending in here and killing people, we'd be going nuts. Bomb anybody, right? Take them all out. Oh no. But because it's dope, and you know something, somebody wrote me an email and said, a guy did a show about you where he said, you know, it's funny now that you think drug dealers ought to be killed, right? You were a big drug dealer guy. No, I was a bank robber guy. I had a really rowdy drug habit, but I wasn't a drug dealer. Wasn't any good at it, Johnny Scoville. I tried, but I got high way too much. Just couldn't hold on long enough. I had one of those habits where if it was in the house, I did it. But I'm not going to say I feel bad for that. I don't. Kill them all, right? Those aren't drug dealers. They're not. They're cartels. Drug dealers are guys on the street. Usually, the people you buy dope from are low level, and they're just there trying to make a living. I mean, it's a shitty way to make a living, but they're just there trying to pay the bills. And most of them, the ones that I knew, very often, they were just trying to stay high. They were just trying to feed a habit. And unfortunately, we don't have a war on drugs, right? We have a war on drug addicts. I spent plenty of time in the joint, and everybody you meet has a drug problem. And I'm not woofing you. Everybody. If they go, X percentage of people in prison are in there for drugs. They're all in there for drugs. I was in there for robbing banks. You think I robbed banks, like Fast and Furious? Think I was doing that to buy Ferraris, hop out of airplanes, right? Go surfing? By the way, I met guys from the Stopwatch gang that movie was based on. None of them jumped out of airplanes. The movie that was real is they used a stopwatch. They would be in and out in 60 seconds, and they did actually wear dead president's masks. But other than that, Point Break was bullshit. All of it. Timothy Leary was given a house in which to do his acid experiments by a wealthy couple. All the same CIA, Scientology. I don't care. You can call it. It's all the same. I'm not going to get any argument out of me. You're not. In sixth grade, we were showing best evidence. Sixth grade, we were smart enough to see the discrepancies. Yeah. So all of those bullet shots go off when RFK catches it in the back, right? And there's bullets everywhere, right? There's
RFK Jr. doesn't even believe it.
RFK Jr. doesn't believe Saran Saran. He actually went to the parole to try to get Saran Saran out. The door jamb had bullets in it, right? Bullet holes. There were bullet holes in the ceiling. There were bullet holes freaking everywhere. You know what the FBI did? No, I'm sorry. I don't want to smut up the FBI. We'll do that later. Do you know what the LAPD did? They burned those, Johnny Scoville. You know why? That's what they said. Wouldn't fit in the filing cabinet. The bullets that were extracted from them, they were logged in wrong. So we don't know what bullet was what. Any of that. We don't know what guns they came from. Can't really do any tests on it. Are you crapping me? With the equipment we have today, we can't take those bullets and tell you if they were fired from one gun or two? Of course we could. But you see, our country, the United States of America, where I was born, it survives on us not knowing what's going on. Plain and simple. Let me tell you, the crack laws were the most racist thing that we ever did in our country. For real. We had, depending on where you got caught, it could be 10-1, which means the white guy that was writing the laws and he had a little bullet in his pocket and they were doing little hits off of it out of powder. If you got caught with a gram of that, that was 1 gram. But if you got caught with 1 gram of crack, they would charge you for 10 grams. Do you know why? Because they didn't think it was a white person problem. And when I was in prison, I worked in the law library. And when they overturned that, all these guys had to do was file so that they could get their person's name and how much dope it was. You get one of them written and you just keep cranking them out. Sue Nelson, good to have you here. So I'm filing these things all the time. How many white people do you think I filed those for, Johnny Scoville?
I'll go out on limb and say
not a one. Not a freaking one.
I guess right.
You guessed right. But you're pretty damn sharp, you know. How was JFK allegedly killed by Oswald when the footage looks like the shot that killed JFK came from directly behind him? Now, Purple Groupie, how are you? Hold on 1 second. So here's the thing. Now, I absolutely want there to be no conspiracy theories. So I go into it completely different, because if you go into something looking for a conspiracy, I freaking promise you'll find one under every single carpet in your house, right? So here's the thing: bullets are absolutely bizarre. The kinetic energy that a bullet, what's it travel? 4,000 feet a second or some shit? Right. Ridiculous speed of this little thing that's spinning like this. Yeah, that's so funny. We were watching an interview with a girl that literally said that. She's like, it must have been a fast bullet or something, because I pulled the trigger and it was already there. She accidentally killed somebody, but it was the first time she'd ever shot a gun.
That was funny.
It's not funny the person died, but the way she said it, I pulled the trigger, the bullet was already there. It was crazy. I think she thought it was going to be like the Matrix. She was going to see that thing go out there like that, like it was going. Yeah.
They don't work like that. You know what though? You can see a 45.
Yes, you can. The Weatherman Underground helped them escape. Those kids had families that were wealthy. And look, you know what? One of these organizations, I think it might have been the Black Panthers, but they broke into an FBI building. And if they didn't, there's so much shit that we would have gotten away with, right? I'm not advocating that people break into buildings, but they did. And a lot of really crazy stuff was happening. Renee B., he and I were on the same yard. So what I was going to say about that is that bullet comes in with so much energy that there are times that the gas and everything else, a person will get shot here and they will go in the wrong direction. That does happen. I don't think that the Kennedy assassination went down the way that it did. But I think we got to be careful that, I mean, you know, one of my favorite examples is what's going on right now with all of the stuff that they're doing to prove that the Charlie Kirk assassination didn't go down the way that it did. I'm not saying I believe it, but he got shot in the neck. So if your demonstration is showing somebody a ballistics gel head, right, with a skull inside that you blow to pieces, that's not comparing an apple to an apple. That's comparing an apple to an orange, because he didn't get shot in the head. But nobody's making videos of anything other than that. So
a good conspiracy is just enough to make the even wisest person go, huh?
You're right. And I'll tell you something else. You know who Chase Hughes is?
Of course.
Yeah. Chase Hughes says, if people get pissed off at you when you say, hey, this didn't happen this way, if everybody in media and everything else starts shitting on you, then you're in the middle of a psyop, right? It's as simple as that. If you're an idiot for believing anything, then it's a psyop. And we've been told this our entire life, right? Haven't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know something else? Look, yeah, so Freeway Ricky Ross, you can look this up, was at FCI Phoenix. And he's one of those people that, you know, you meet and you go, he says, I'm Ricky Ross. And you go, oh, no shit, like Freeway Ricky Ross. And he's like, yeah, that would be me. Freeway Ricky Ross was just a guy that was in the right place at the wrong time, or the wrong place at the right time. And a bunch of people from the CIA said, we're gonna show you this drug and you're gonna get rich selling it. And he got rich selling it. Nikki Thomas says, why did Epstein have a photo in his home of George Bush sitting with a paper plane in his hand? I don't know that he did. He definitely had one of the paintings that author did, right? And it was Clinton wearing Monica Lewinsky's dress, and that was hanging in his living room. But that artist also did another painting of George Bush, and there's a bunch of blocks on the ground that got knocked over, which very much looks like it could have been the Twin Towers, and he has a paper airplane. I don't think that Epstein owned that, though. I will fact check that between now and the next time we're here, Nikki. But I don't believe he owned that one. He sure as hell had one of Bill Clinton wearing Monica Lewinsky's dress in his living room. You know what I think that meant, Johnny Scotto?
Tell me.
Bill Clinton's my bitch.
Yeah.
And if you have images, if you've got video of a former president having sex with a kid, he's your bitch. I'm sorry, he is, right? Love Chase Hughes. I do too. I did not know about the picture of Bush. Surprised it wasn't him holding a pet. Go upside down to the tracks. You know what? It's the artist is really unusual. What was Ricky Ross like? He was a humble cat that just wanted to get out of prison. He really was. The other one that I did a lot of time with, who was also a really, really humble cat, was Big Meech. If you didn't know who these people were, they weren't walking around prison like feeding 1,000 meals. Johnny Scobo, 200 meals to every unit. Never happened. The rules against that are every place. You can't go outside with food and bring it to another freaking unit. Each LSD hit was a murder charge at one time. An attempted murder charge. I don't know that they do that anymore. I was in prison with a guy that got caught with 9 books, and I think he got 28 years. If they had charged him for an attempted murder charge on every one of those, he would have gotten like 50 life sentences. But at one time, they absolutely were charging an attempted murder for each hit. But these knee-jerk reaction laws, they're stiffening all the laws on fentanyl really big time right now because of how many people are dying. They're not going to get any drug dealers with that. They're not. We're blowing drug dealers and cartel members up in the in the ocean. But the guys, the street level guys, sorry? Yeah, well, it's on the other side. But it's, we do these knee-jerk reaction things. And you end up giving guys that get caught with 20 pills. Let me tell you something. I didn't have a fentanyl habit. I had a heroin habit. But I didn't buy less than 20 bags of heroin ever. When I first started doing smack, you couldn't buy an ounce of it. First of all, you can't buy ounces. They're called pedazos. And they weigh 25 grams. They don't do 28. Odd. 8 balls of tar are 3 grams instead of 3.5. It's a very unusual substance. However, you couldn't buy those because they had such a tight grip on it that all you could buy was 1/10 of a gram. So if you had $2,000, you were still buying $10 bags. They'd give you a break, but you just get a bag this big full of them. That was personal use. I wasn't buying that stuff ever to sell. But if you get caught with 50 of them, now you're a drug dealer. 50 wouldn't have kept me for 2 days. But we do these knee-jerk reaction. That's why I said there's no war on drugs. There's a war on drug addicts. Sadly, that's just always been the way it is. And it is a painting, but it's you can look that painting up, by the way, Nikki Thomas. It's a pretty the person that painted these obviously didn't like either of those presidents, right? They definitely blamed George Bush for what happened on 9/11, and definitely blamed Clinton for not getting in a lot more trouble with the Monica Lewinsky thing. I'm actually getting too much time in watching these conspiracy theories from celebrities being clones, aliens, demons, crazy stuff. Yeah, you absolutely could be. Uh-oh. 1 second, people. The old lady's here. I think it's really funny whenever I say that because she's considerably younger than me.
Thank God for that.
Yeah. Right? What's that? Yeah, and not a wrinkle on that bird. Good to have you here, Relatable Reese. That's my girlfriend. If you're keeping track. That's too funny, Quibs. I can't say it out loud, but we live in a strange world. We really do. But you know what? Since she's here, we're going to show this world a thing or two. Since she's here, I think what I would like to do is mention something, because I don't know if you guys know the show Cults to Consciousness. You're familiar with this show? I've done a lot of research using that show. She has some, her name is Shalice. She does a lot of really great work, has a lot of really great guests on there. And she had my girlfriend on. Knock that off. Hey, I'm live over here. What are you doing? Playing music? Settle down. No, I can hear it. Everyone else can hear it. So Reese did a show on Cults to Consciousness. If you have not seen it, you need to. That's not a recommendation. I will come to your house. And I'm a thoroughly dangerous man. If you don't believe me, just ask everyone. What?
You better tell me you're joking.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. I'm joking. Don't call the law. No, but seriously, I'll kill you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's already demonetized. I said LSD. I said suicide. I'm out. It is out now, Jamie Palmer. It's been out for a couple of hours. It is out already. I think maybe because it was just so damn good they wanted it out. That's my theory, and I'm sticking with it. Um, and that will be coming out shortly. It's absolutely worth checking out. I was, I'm not going to lie to you, I was proud as hell. And you know why this is kind of an important thing? If you ever watch us on our other channel, which is called Rumors You Can Relate To. How appropriate is that, Johnny Scoville? I know, it's not what you were hoping for. It's one of those things that it's, I talked about the changes between the first time that I dated Reese, she didn't work out too well, and this time. And one of the things that has been a key difference is I spent a lot of time finding out things about her childhood, and she spent a lot of time finding out things about mine. And it helps you realize the things that are going to trigger your partner. And we did a couple of shows on this, and BT is back, came here and really made a great show by asking questions and saying he wanted to learn stuff about his significant other. This will give you some insight into some things that Ruth says was unaware. This will give you, hey Katie, this will give you some insight into Reese's past. There may be stories that you've heard, but you probably haven't heard them like this. And it's really well done. It's beautifully done. Hats off to how do I find rumors you can relate to? Rosemary Vecchio, you can either look up Cults and Crims, because that was the name of the show previously, or you can look up Reese and Tommy, rumors you can relate to. That would be the name of it. And do stop by. I think you'll dig it. I'll tell you this. Usually the first 45 minutes to an hour, we handle some really heavy and some serious stuff most of the time. And then we end up with fart jokes and toilet humor, because we're just really not very mature people. We're wicked immature people. But every once in a while it gets a little rowdy. But I promise you.
I've never heard you say you are a mature person.
See that? Johnny Scoville says, to my credit, I have never said that I am a mature person. Kristen Melinda, just put the link up there. You might want to grab onto that. Yes, Reese is a mature person. I am not. I'm usually the one causing the problems. I'm willing to admit that. Well, I'm not. She does help me. Yeah, well, I may be weird. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around. And you know something? There's a video out right now that I got to go see. Somebody sent me a text. I have to go see this video. I don't want to tell you what it is. While we're young. So I'm going to be getting off of this live feed. But I hope to see all of you later today after you go see my girlfriend on Cults to Consciousness. You'll thank me later. And I will be here this evening sometime after 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Sometimes it's 8:05, sometimes it's 8:15. Just kind of varies. But, yeah, it doesn't much matter. All right, people. Will the feds look more into Diddy after the 50 Cent documentary? Absolutely. Absolutely. There are going to be a lot of things that happen with them looking at him. Just don't believe the thumbnails that tell you that they already have charges against him, or they just lugged him out of there because he had a nervous breakdown. I could just bullshit the socks off of everybody on YouTube, right? I did a lot of Diddy content. There was a lot of people that believed things and really liked my content. I could just be making thumbnails like everybody else is. Be really careful, because as I said, I've seen this show before. I was smack dab in the middle of it the last time, right? It's a feeding frenzy. It's going to happen. And it would probably be a good thing if we're maybe a little bit more circumspect this time around. You don't have to be. I mean, you can go and watch it and buy into all of it. I'm not buying into any of it. I'm not. I've gotten a lot better at researching stuff. And I assure you, he didn't have a mental breakdown. He's probably having a mental breakdown. He's pissed off. He can't do anything about this. I'm sure he's going nuts. However, he's still at Fort Dix. He hasn't been moved. That's all BS. His attorney doesn't have charges that have been filed against him. What are some of the other ones? Oh, the satanic ritual stuff. Hey, look, man, I think he's about as satanic as anybody that I've seen come down the pike since LRH himself. Old big bean grill. Classy. Sorry. So between now and the next time I see you, go watch my girlfriend's show over on Cults to Consciousness, and put a little love in your heart, right? It's a beautiful thing. I promise you. It'll pay off in the long haul. You know why you got to do that, Johnny Scoville?
Tell me why.
Because if you don't, it's bad for your heart. That hate stuff destroys souls and hearts. You don't want either of those things destroyed. Take my word for this. All right, people. I will see you on the next one. That will be tonight. Thank you for spending time with me. You guys mean the world to me. I'm Tommy. We'll see you on the next one. God bless. Or maybe not. Let's try that again. I'm Tommy. See you on the next one. God bless.
Bye.
Johnny says bye.